morning, everyone. It's Friday morning, and we are here to answer your questions about anything. Well, let's narrow it down just to keto and IF.
Keto and IF. That sounds good. Intermittent fasting.
And anything that we say is not meant to diagnose you. It's just meant to give you education so you and your doctor can do your own research and then come up with your own conclusions. How about that?
That sounds good.
It's good?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're here, and we're here to answer your questions. There should be a number down below, but let's just jump right in and start. We have a ton of callers, and I have a lot of great tips for people. No quizzes, but tips.
Okay.
So Diane from Canton, you're on. Are you there?
I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning.
First, I wanted to say thank you to both you and Karen for all your help and all your information. I've been doing keto for a year and a half. I'm following you, I should say, for a year and a half, doing healthy keto. And one of my problems that I have that I've been trying to heal with the keto is I tend to either get bronchitis or pneumonia. And I've been doing much better, but I did just go through an episode, and I was on a 12-day course of prednisone with an antibiotic. So I'm doing everything I can to help my stomach with that. You know, I've been doing the electrolyte powder and the wheatgrass powder. And what I'm confused about is how I can help my adrenals after being on the prednisone.
Yeah, good question. I personally had a lot of problems with prednisone. I was on it for probably every year since in my 20s for poison ivy. I would get it every single year. So I was highly allergic, and it could really mess the person up. So here's one thing you need to do. As far as the lung goes, the number one nutrient that you need to focus on is the vitamin D. Higher levels. We'll be talking about that today. Like definitely the therapeutic dose for D3 would be at least 20,000 IUs, probably 30,000 or even more. That supports the adrenal. It actually gives the adrenal more help. And it also helps the lung as well. The other couple things that I would recommend for the adrenals would be if you find some colostrum, good high quality colostrum, you can get it in a tablet or a powder, and use that a little bit each night. That tends to restore the gut, and it seems to kind of counter some of the damage from the prednisone. So that's one thing. There's a lot of other things you can do, but I think those two would be the most important. Keep trying to get more sleep, keep the diet in, but I wouldn't go crazy and just targeting like just a ton of stuff. So focus on that and keep doing what you're doing, because the intermittent fasting and healthy keto is going to ultimately take you to the next level. Thanks, Dan. All right, Sonia from Chicago is here. Are you there, Sonia?
Yes, I am.
How are you? What's your question?
Hello?
Hello.
I had a CT done recently. I've been having like panic attacks like at odd, only in the mornings, but odd times. Randomly, it's not every day. And so finally they said, okay, do a CT, and my adrenal did have a small growth on it. It is really small, but it is causing these panic attacks. So I was just wondering what I could do to help that. I do take your adrenal support. I've been keto for like a year and a half.
Okay.
And just seeing what could I do to help reduce, if I can get rid of it, or I don't want to have like surgery or anything. It's really small.
Right. Couple things. You know, it all revolves around stress and trying not to activate the adrenal glands too much to overdo it. A couple things I would definitely do. When you do intermittent fasting and periodic prolonged fasting, you take a huge stress off the adrenals, just FYI. Your body seems to adapt better to stress. It does not put your body in an emergency state. So hopefully you're doing that. The other thing that I would recommend is to start working on your gut bacteria, your flora. The gut bacteria make a lot of things that relate to neurotransmitter and stress reduction, including things like GABA and serotonin, which we're going to talk about that too. And that should take a big stress off your adrenals. But I would look at the gut flora and dive into the area of that. I would also watch my stress webinar. I go through a whole bunch of physical techniques that you can do to take the stress out of your body, enhance your sleep. For you, it's all going to be about, enhancing the quality of sleep. That's the best thing to do for the adrenal more than anything, and trying to make sure that your environment is the least amount of stress. Go for long walks. Avoid those people who are connected to you that are actually stressing you out. And that's really all you can do at this point. But yeah, I do understand what you're saying. It's like you got this activation of cortisol production because the nodule is causing that. But the last thing I think I would do is I would find a product online. I don't sell one that's exclusively like an adrenal extract without anything else. Standard Process has one. It's called Whole Desiccated Adrenal. I would take one of those before bed every single night. Okay, Standard Process. Thanks for your call. And Karen, what do we got on social media this morning?
Okay, well, I noted down where people are from because they started to tell us right away. And this is pretty intense here. Saudi Arabia, Poland, Luxembourg,
Wow.
Panama, Oman, all over the United States, of course, Germany, Iraq, Pakistan, Georgia, England, Bahamas, Canada, Wales, Antarctica. Antarctica. I think that's a first.
Wow, that's incredible.
South Korea. Okay, that's just for
not
starters.
North Korea. Okay.
No, not yet,
Okay.
but we're hoping. We're keeping the hope alive. Okay, so Lisa on YouTube, she lost 104 pounds.
What?
Yes. Ding, ding, ding.
That's awesome.
Then she had to have 3 rounds of antibiotics. The face tells it all. And then she stopped losing weight.
Yeah, I know about that.
Over to you.
Okay. We tried to get on Periscope this morning. I don't know if it's working. Maybe you guys can let us know. Try to pull Periscope up.
Okay.
It is working?
What does that have to do with Lisa's
No,
question?
I'm not sure, but we're looking at
Oh, okay, you're looking.
But very
Okay.
exciting once it comes up.
And
Okay,
I had a
good.
few comments on Facebook that you lost the sound. So
Okay,
there
so
we go.
here's the
Those
thing.
are technical things. Now, Lisa, back to your point about antibiotics and weight loss.
Well, here's the thing. I may have, if I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong, but I may have released a video today, in fact. Maybe not. Maybe I'm releasing it tomorrow. I haven't really looked because I have it on automatic right now.
Okay.
What video I released. But the question is, what would happen if you didn't have any bugs in your body? Friendly bacteria, call them bugs.
And that's what the antibiotic kills.
Yeah.
All your
so-
friendly bugs.
Well, a lot of them. So it leaves you open to a lot of things. The influence of your microbes on your health is huge. If you didn't have any microbes, you would have a severe protein problem, because your bugs are involved, your microbes are involved in manufacturing of neurotransmitters because they would work with your gut in making proteins. That's important. Detoxification. Your mood is affected by the gut. There's a huge connection, a physical connection with that, and also your cognitive function. So, and then you have digestion, immune system. It goes on and on and on. So, people say, "Well, I had an antibiotic. What do I do?" You need to actually put that flora back in. Even if you're on antibiotic for 1 week, it can mess you up to the fact where it's going to be hard to get back where you were for 6 months to up to 2 years. It can really last that long. So I'm going to be doing a lot of videos on this. I want to talk about this at the summit.
Building your bugs.
Your flora, but it's vitally important, especially because of the exposure to GMO foods nowadays. It's really messing us up. So you need to find a good probiotic. I do have one, and I'm not biased that mine's the best, but because it survives the stomach acidity, and that's really the big thing. Is like, how do you take something that survives that severe acid? I have a liquid that will do that. I would take a small amount before bed, and then I would take it over a long period of time. Maybe like start a fourth of a teaspoon, half a teaspoon, and eventually a teaspoon before bed in some water, and start to build up that flora.
Build your bugs.
Yeah, because
Love
the
your
flora,
bugs.
Yeah, there's huge. As far as weight loss goes, mice that actually are germ-free or sterilized, they take the microbes out, they get obese.
Wow.
So you need the flora for your metabolism. They don't know exactly why. I have some theories. I think like serotonin, for example, 90% of all your serotonin is made by your cells in your gut, but it needs help from the microbes. They're intimately involved. So serotonin is like, it helps your pumping action of the colon, your mood. Without serotonin, you're going to have a lot of issues. So
There you go.
anyway, that was a long answer.
That was, but I'm sure Lisa appreciates it. Okay, good. Do you want another question?
I want to go
or-
to Sanjay first.
Okay.
Columbia, Maryland. Are you there, Sanjay?
Yes, I'm here, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
Hi. Good morning. Good morning to you also, Karen.
Hi.
Hi. I have two questions. One is for my friend, and he has GERD and hiatal hernia. And this GERD problem started about 2.5 years ago. And it was kind of resolved. He was taking PPIs, and then he kind of stopped it. But in May, it flared up again. And I had been to his house, and I showed him how to do keto and intermittent fasting your way. And he was doing good, but his family is doing actually great on that. They have lost almost 40 plus pounds.
Wow, great.
Two other people. So, but he's kind of stalled because he has hiatal hernia and he's taking PPIs again, and he's kind of confused, like how PPI says lower your stomach acid and all that, and you say the opposite, like increase your stomach acid by using ACV and all that. So he's kind of confused, like how to resolve this. And I did send him the exercise video which you have for the hiatal hernia to him to do it that way, but it's still not helping. And that was the question for him. Whatever you can suggest for dietary or exercise way.
Good. Let me talk about that, Sanjay.
And second,
you got one
sure,
question.
Let him ask one more.
Okay,
well,
Go ahead.
I don't want to take too much time, but if it's okay,
Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing, Sanjay. It is confusing because it's conflicting. It's counterintuitive. Like, wait a second. I thought this problem I need, less acid, right? So I'll take an antacid medication. But if you take a look at the side effect of the antacids, one of the big side effects is heartburn. Wow. And GERD. So your stomach is acid for a reason, and it's really when you don't have the right chemistry, the pH of that stomach, the valves doesn't close that right, you get incomplete digestion. And you need that strong protein digestion to make proteins and eventually break down the protein and then make proteins. And if you have a hiatal hernia, you have a collagen problem. So we want to acidify the stomach. Now, for him, you need, realize it takes a period of time. It could take months and months and months. And even at like 5 or 6 betaine hydrochloride and hydrochloric and apple cider vinegar pills a day. So that's one thing. The other thing you can do to speed things up is to take a really good probiotic to help the lower part of the bowel so that doesn't create a distraction for the stomach. Those two things, I think, ultimately are going to help. Because, and I always ask people, well, I'm taking an antacid, well, what's causing this problem in the first place? And do you ever think that taking that's going to correct anything? And they never can answer because it's a long-term thing. There's never a point where, oh, I'm cured, I can come off the antacid. That's the good point that you need to ask them. Just the side effects. And also the manual manipulation of working on the massage around your stomach. I'm sure you watched that video. Is very, very important. But ultimately, they need to do intermittent fasting, and then they need to acidify the stomach. Thanks for your call. Now, Karen, you can go right into some questions.
Okay. All right, good. So let's come back here on YouTube. We have Fatima.
Mm-hmm.
Oopsie. And her question is, well, there's also Sahil Roy. He says, greetings from India. Is it true that your body releases insulin in fixed amounts as soon as you start eating? And it takes another 55 to 60 minutes to release the next dose. I'm assuming he means insulin. So he's asking, is it released in doses and is it actually released every time you eat?
Yeah, you brought up a really kind of an interesting question. It's a little complex, but yes, you have this double dose of insulin. It goes up and then it comes down, and it's kind of a wave of insulin. insulin goes in waves of release.
Mm.
But the main point that I want to just talk about is like eating anything of any calories will increase insulin to some degree while you're eating. But when you add carbs, you actually spike it a lot more. So this is why we do intermittent fasting, to minimize the insulin problem. The big, huge elephant in the room is with everyone is they have too much insulin, okay? And that's what's messing up the blood sugars and causing prediabetes and diabetes. So we're just trying to get people to get to a state where they can make normal amounts of insulin. Your body will generate sugar from protein and even fat, and it's called gluconeogenesis, the production of new sugar. So you don't really need any carbs, other than the carbs from the vegetables that we're recommending. Yeah.
Great. Okay. So now Fatima, she says, hello. Every time I'm on my period, my rheumatoid arthritis gets worse. The pain is 100 times more.
Well,
What to do?
That's a spike in estrogen. Estrogen can actually create inflammation if it's too much. This is estrogen dominance, so she needs to watch the videos on estrogen dominance. I think what I would do is I would eliminate any soy out of the diet. I would eliminate dairy because it can actually act as a hormone. I would add more cruciferous vegetables, and I would get a product called estrogen balance. That's what I would do.
Okay.
But I'm just
That's
the
good.
messenger, Karen.
And speaking of cruciferous, Anna wants to know what's the difference between cruciferous and your veggie solution?
Well, cruciferous has a different effect. It has a lot more phytonutrients. It's very estrogen. It cleans the excess estrogen. It helps convert it to the harmless one. It also has a lot of nutrients. It's good for the liver detoxification. Versus the veggie solution is mainly to replace your salad or vegetables if you don't like eating it. And it has a lot of phytonutrients, carotenoids, and it's actually like almost raw. But it has also a good plant-based source of protein. It's equivalent to whey protein as far as the amount of complete amino acids. It's a real clean product with very minimal anti-nutrients, so it's not going to have high levels of oxalates or things like that you would get in spinach. So that would be the main difference. And you're taking more of it. You're taking like 2 scoops a day, which is equivalent to 6 cups of vegetables.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. And then one more question here Mohammed asks on Facebook. Is there a test for lectin sensitivity?
Yeah, I think there is. I don't have a lot of data on the testing, but I think you can test for that. I think it's a blood test. It's, if I'm not mistaken. Lectins are those things in certain foods and vegetables and things like that that can irritate your system. Some people are more sensitive than others. I actually have a video, and I cover all the low lectin foods. You can check it out. Lectins are also in nightshades. But, you know, honestly, I'm not seeing a really big, huge thing where, oh, I get people off lectins and they miraculously get better. I've not seen that.
Okay.
So that's just my opinion.
Okay.
So Karen, it's time for a tip.
A tip.
Okay?
Yep.
So, and the tip is this. It's on restorative sleep. How many of you would like to get better sleep? Just say yes or no. If you sleep fine.
Would you like to get better sleep?
Yeah. Would you like, anyone, raise your hand if you'd like to get better sleep.
Raise your hand.
Okay. And I'm talking about restorative sleep. I'm talking about the type of sleep that when you wake up, you actually feel awake, which is a new concept for people.
You feel good.
Yeah. So if you're getting up more tired than when you went to bed,
Yes.
if you actually need, I know this might be shocking, some people might need a cup of coffee in the morning. If you need coffee to wake up, raise your hand. If you have a problem like sleeping through the entire night, let me know. And also if you can't get to sleep, okay? There's one, let's see, do we have anyone? Yeah, we have a few people.
It's pouring in.
Okay. So this is like a no-brainer, and it's very inexpensive. It's just really revolves around taking more vitamin D. Vitamin D, and has many different functions, absorbing calcium, but what it can do for sleep is huge. There are vitamin D receptors deep into the central nervous system in your brain, especially with the areas that involve the sleep centers. It actually will cause a muscle paralysis in the deep delta wave sleep. So you've heard of restless leg syndrome?
Yes.
Okay, so you're not going to be restless if you take a good amount of vitamin D. And this is why people, like if they got a lot of sun, for example, and then that night they sleep a little better because the sun, just gives them the vitamin D effect. But you're going to notice that if you have enough D, and to get the therapeutic dosage, sometimes you're going to have to go 20 to 30 IUs. So that's one thing. But the other thing is like vitamin D will make it so you turn off at night a lot better. So it's your off switch. Because if you have high levels of adrenal stress and cortisol, you're like laying there, you're like not really sleeping. So it's all about turning your body off so you can recharge. And vitamin D is the secret to that, Karen.
Good.
Even for sleep apnea. Now, we're going to take some more questions, but then after, maybe in about 10 minutes, I'm going to tell you something else that's vitally important because I know some people are going to ask this. Dr. Berg, what about the toxic effects of high dosage of vitamin D? How do I handle that? Well, I'm going to answer that coming up real shortly. So don't go away.
Not right now.
Right.
Okay.
I need to jump right to Cindy. She's been
Okay.
waiting patiently. You're from Pasadena, California. Are you there, Cindy?
Cindy? Hey, come back here, Cindy. Come back to the phone. Okay, let's take another caller.
Cindy?
Hello?
Oh,
Hi,
there
how are
she
you?
is.
I knew you were trying to get to the phone.
Sorry about that. I'm at work.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh, no. I'm cool.
okay.
Hey, so I have a question.
Yeah.
I had a heart attack last year.
Okay.
I started keto in April of last year, watching your videos and stuff. And then not really doing it full on. And then June, I had a heart attack. I had 95% blockage in my LAD. So they put in 2 stents. And then I remember thinking and really seeing that video about your coronary artery calcium scan. So I said, just for the heck of it, I want to see if the blockages are the same as the ones that they told me I had. Because they said I had one in my LAD, one in my circumflex, and then one in another blockage in my, I think it was the RAD or something like that. So I did it in September of 2018, and my score was 84.
Okay.
And where I had my stents, it was, the score was 27. And I thought that was odd because for me having a heart attack, I thought it would be higher.
Right.
So anyway, I've been doing keto and everything and eating better and all of that stuff, thinking I'm going to take another scan to see if there's any difference. And after my third cardiologist, because one told me that it was just hereditary, basically, no matter what you do, you're still going to get blockages. Another one told me you have to be on statins, and I remember you said if one tells you on statins, you get rid of that doctor. So I did, because I don't want to be on statins. And so now I'm on my third one, and he's saying that I shouldn't get another scan because it causes cancer. So that's basically my question. Is that, would I be at risk if I take another one?
So here's my opinion on that. There's 2 cardiologists that are coming to our summit. You should show up. And this is the data that I got from these cardiologists, so it's not my opinion. And the CAT scan that you're getting actually has very, very, very low radiation compared to other CAT scans. There is a small amount of radiation, but it's very minimal. You should even look it up yourself so you know. So for him to say it causes cancer, well, if maybe high dosages over a long period of time. The second thing is for those of you that are trying to wondering what we're talking about, there's a calcium, coronary artery calcium scoring thing you can get. It's a test, not terribly expensive, very valuable, and it should be 0. Sometimes it can go up to 1,000. It's really measuring the calcium buildup in the arteries. And the calcium comes in there mainly from inflammatory conditions that are building up from damage on the inside of the artery. So it could be that you have a little bit of calcium buildup, okay, but you have more plaquing, other types of things like maybe fibrous protein plaquing with some cholesterol plaquing. which could mean that you didn't create the lesions that your body needed to dump out as much calcium matrix, but more of some other things. So there's different types of plaques, there's different types of clotting, and apparently yours isn't like exclusively calcium. So you don't that's good, because that means you don't have the hardening effect of the arteries. So I would continue to take K2. I would probably find a doctor that's will work with you and actually can do another scan, see what it is. But the fact that you're in keto is going to reduce the insulin so you can actually eventually heal the arteries. But here's the thing. It does take a long time. It could take years to really get your arteries in check with that. But you do want to add exercise. You want to do keto, like a healthy version of keto. But the main thing is keeping your insulin low. I would do this test if I were you. HOMA-IR. That measures the actual insulin, and that'll give you a little more data that you're looking at. So that's my opinion, and I hope to see you at the summit, Cindy, coming in August 31st. Thanks, Cindy. All right, Karen.
Okay, so we've got to help Bernadette.
What's happening?
Every other comment, she's posting that she has to know. Do you continue the same percentage of macros regardless of weight or calorie intake? I am obese, but losing with a total of 1,200 calories a day still support lean muscle. Will it still support lean muscle sparing and reduced fat percentage? So she's doing a calorie thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's an important question, because you need a certain amount of calories to maintain muscle density, but you really don't. It's not the calories, it's the macronutrients in the calories, it's the type of calories. You need enough protein. You need a moderate amount of protein. You actually don't need as much as you think, but you need some. So that's one thing. You also don't need the carbohydrates. You don't need those at all. You need healthy fats. So you could, if you focus on the micronutrients and even some of the macronutrients, you could get by with 1,000 calories and not create any problem in your muscle density at all. Because when you do intermittent fasting, guess what? And all the studies that they've done with the amount of calories you need don't play into the calories. So you want to do calories, with the frequency of eating. You want to do infrequent eating so your body then is more efficient and you can start utilizing those calories, and the amount of calories you need actually goes down. So this is what you need to do. Go by your hunger. If you can gradually go into this intermittent fasting, 2 meals a day and eventually 1 meal a day, and you're not hungry, and you're seeing the benefits, and you're still maintaining, you're strong, and you have energy, and you have no cravings, don't even worry about the calories. Focus on getting the nutrients. But that's what I would do, because I think it doesn't really matter, like, oh, well, I'm at 1,200 calories or 1,000 or 1,400. It's how you feel, and that means it's actually working. So watch my video on the intermittent fasting, and then also the protein loss that you're actually getting. You're increasing growth hormone on that. But you open up a good question that does take a bit more time to answer. Thanks for your question. And let's go to Kimberly. She's from Alabama. She had a question regarding urine strips. Hi, Kim.
Hi, how are you?
Great.
Hey, I actually have 2 questions, if I can get away with asking both of them.
Okay.
The first question is, there seems to be a lot of rumors going around about the urine keto strips, that if it's all the way over to the right on the coloring, that it means that you're dehydrated. I've heard some people say that you need more carbohydrate, you need more electrolyte. I've watched a couple of your videos that say, after a while that they're not accurate, but is there any truth behind what it means if it stays over to the right for almost 3 weeks?
Okay, so you're talking about like deep ketosis?
Like the first 3 weeks that I was in ketosis.
No, as far as when you say, hold on, let me just clarify. So when you say all the way over to the right, you're talking about the color bars being deep purple.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let me just answer that real quick. So all that means is you're actually burning fat, and you're in ketosis a lot stronger than you would if you're on the left. As far as dehydration goes, it doesn't mean you're dehydrated at all. It's not measuring hydration or dehydration. I don't know who told you that. It's just about ketones. Now, do you get dehydrated in ketones when you're in ketosis? You could if you're obviously not drinking the right amount of fluids and you're not taking the electrolytes, which I always recommend doing it. So, yeah, you don't have to worry about that. And no, you don't need to take more carbs because it's actually working. You're in deep ketosis. So,
That's what I thought.
whoever told you that is just misinformed. Good.
Okay. And
Second
then my other question is, my husband really wants to do keto. He really wants to do keto. He has recurring gout over and over and over, and the doctors have told him to completely stay away from keto. Is that something to where if he were to try to do keto, the uric acid would go up temporarily and then it would fix itself because of the change in diet? And if so, is there anything that you recommend that people could take to help adjust during that time so that it doesn't cause flare-ups?
Yeah. People that have gout, most of them are producing, the problem with gout is they're not able to release the uric acid. It's not the amount of uric acid that they're producing, it's they can't release it because there's kidney damage that's coming from the insulin resistance, which need to be fixed with keto. You should watch my recent video on gout and uric acid. I just released a really good one. You should watch that, have your husband watch that to get the facts on that. Keto does not make it worse. Intermittent fasting will raise your uric acid a little bit, but all you have to do is take some potassium citrate, boom, problem solved, and it's not going to create more gout. It's actually going to help you because uric acid is there to work as an antioxidant. And by the way, people that have high levels of uric acid, Karen,
Yeah.
have a lot less rates of getting MS and autoimmune problems. So you get some benefits on that. How about that?
That is something.
And then one last thing, when you do the urine strips, it's really good to use in the beginning when you're in keto, but when you become more efficient and you burn up the ketones, then you need to get a blood monitor, ketone blood testing kit. All right, cool.
Okay, so I have to say something.
Yes, Karen, tell me.
Ruby,
Yep.
Ian's, our son's fiance, is watching.
Wow.
In
hey,
Perth,
Ruby.
Australia.
How are you, Ruby?
So Australia's in the house, and hi, Ruby.
Yes, it must be probably a different time zone, so hopefully it's not in the middle of the night.
It's like 2 in the morning. Okay, good.
I hope, Ruby, you're doing keto. I hope you're following through. We had that talk, remember?
Christmas time, had the
Yes.
talk.
Yes.
Okay, so on to a question.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Mhm.
So a question came up from Sandra, what nuts are okay? And then another fellow, which I didn't note his name on Facebook, also asked, he uses a couple different nuts. He thinks it helps him sleep. So he eats the nuts before he goes to bed. So what's your thought on that?
It's a nutty question, Karen. But let me just explain. When you're doing keto, one of the things that you want to focus on is keeping your oxalates low. Okay? Keeping your oxalates low, right?
And what does that have to do
Because
with
like
nuts?
because what happens when people do keto, they eat spinach, chocolate, almonds, and a lot of other nuts that are high in oxalates, and then they get some issues sometimes.
Okay.
So what you're probably asking me, Karen, is what nuts have the lowest amount of oxalates, right?
Well, that wasn't what I was asking, but if that is the answer to your question, then that's what we want to know.
Macadamia nuts are good, and pistachios. Those two nuts are the best. They have the lowest amount of oxalates. The highest is the almonds. Okay?
And then, like I said last week, you'd also be getting that in almond flour if you tend to use...
If you're a stone former, then what you want to do is probably not do the almond flour. And if you do it, don't do a lot of it, and then drink a little bit more water, because what causes the stone is a super concentration of the urine. So anyway, I have a lot of videos on that.
Okay.
Okay, Karen?
Good.
But I think it's time now to tell people how to minimize the dangers of the high vitamin D toxicity that everyone talks about nowadays. First of all,
it's very dangerous.
it's very rare that's going to happen, and you would have to have very high level amounts of vitamin D for a long period of time. If you check your vitamin D and it's between 300 and 450, then you might have a problem. Okay, but rarely will it ever get that high. But here's the thing: there's really only one toxic effect from vitamin D levels when you're taking a lot of it. And it has to do with not vitamin D, it has to do with what it does to calcium. That's all. So the only danger of taking large amounts of vitamin D is too much calcium in the blood, okay? So there's real simple things you can do to minimize that damage control, because here's the thing. There are so many benefits of vitamin D in higher levels. What they recommend for vitamin D is only like 600 to 800 IUs per day, but that's developed or suggested just to prevent rickets, in children. But to get the therapeutic benefit of vitamin D, you need to do like 20 to 30 to 40,000 IUs or even more. So this is what you do, Karen. Make note.
Okay.
Number one, you take K2. K2 is like the brain of calcium. It tells the calcium where to go. But D3 just kind of doesn't tell it where to go. It just increases the blood. K2 will drive it into the bone. Number two, you just avoid dairy for a while. Hello, problem solved. If you're not taking dairy, you're not getting the calcium, and then you don't have to worry about it. Okay. Number three, take magnesium, and if you're stone former, drink more water. Problem solved. Simple. Okay. How'd you like that tip? That was actually, I thought that's a very good tip. Very good
Doc,
tip.
I actually like the tip because you cured my back problem with 40,000.
No.
Oh, that's right.
You know what?
I love when our
He doesn't
producer
cure
says I
anything.
cured.
Uh-oh.
I
He
cured
doesn't
it.
cure anything.
It's illegal to cure people
Okay,
nowadays.
good. Well, here's the deal. I hurt and now I don't. So whatever you call that, I'm glad you put me on.
That must
to
be
it.
luck.
After steroids, after all sorts of stuff. So
That's great, Steve.
So I appreciate it. I'm sorry that you cured me.
Thank you.
He did not cure.
you.
That was just a coincidence that he took that D and he feels better. Hey, I have something to say.
Go ahead.
Okay, good. So you guys know the summit is coming up. The Keto Summit, the Healthy Keto Summit, 2019, Dr. Berg style, at the Gaylord.
Do we have any
Fly
sponsors
into
coming?
Washington, D.C., August 31st, September 1st. So we have, last year we had, we're calling them exhibitors,
Yeah.
mostly because the hotel does.
Yeah.
And last year we had a handful of them, and we're going to have a lot more this year. So it's exciting. So some of the exhibitors will be Choco Perfection.
Those are pretty seriously good chocolate.
Really good, right? This is all keto. Kibosh Foods, that's K-B-O-S-H Food. Okay.
Okay.
Keto Mojo, our buddies that were there last
Yep,
year.
keto testing.
Keto testing, and I hope
yeah,
they
the blood
bring
monitors.
100 times more units than they had last year, because they sold out in the first 20 minutes. And then we know U.S. Wellness Meats is going to be there again.
Yep. We order from them all the time.
All the time.
It's the best. They have,
it is the best
They have
meat.
some seriously good butter, too. Oh, my gosh.
Everything. Check it out. And then a company called Love Good Fats.
Ooh, I like that.
There you go. We need to look into that more. They're new for us.
I like it.
So we're going to be letting you guys know the top level exhibitors that are going to be there, and we're going to work to make it a lot of fun for you guys so that you can have a lot of options in keto land.
You know, you have to keep your options open, Karen. All right, I need to go to Dave. Dave, you've been waiting patiently for a bit. Are you there?
You've been waiting patiently for a bit. Are you there? Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Hello? Okay, good. Hey, it's me again. And I was just wondering, I had an inflamed, apparently, you know, when I was talking to you about my inflamed pancreas. What's the best way to take care of that?
Yep. Yeah. I think the most important thing for pancreatic problems, especially inflammatory conditions, pancreatitis, one of the common things, and I don't know if you're on a medication, but check with your doctor on this one point. If you're on medications, there's so many medications that will create that inflammatory condition, so that's number one. But typically, you want to avoid omega-3 fatty acids. You want to avoid things that create inflammation. Of course, you want to avoid sugar. Think about the pancreas as the warehouse for the manufacturing of enzymes, okay? So anything that you're eating that doesn't have enzymes is going to put stress on your body, like overly cooked foods, refined foods. You want to do more raw foods with enzymes, like in vegetables, okay? Things like that that don't require as many enzymes. That's what I would recommend, and that should help you, Dave. Thanks for calling. All right, so Leanne, you're calling from Ohio. You had a question. Go ahead.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Hello, great, yes.
Yes, first, thank you, Dr. Berg and Karen. You guys are wonderful. Thanks for all that you do. We all appreciate you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
All right, I do have two questions if we can get to it. The first one, though, is about I'm intermittent fasting, so I'm only eating 2 meals a day, but I'm taking all of your vitamins and supplements, and I'm taking the electrolyte powder, the raw wheatgrass powder. So it's hard to get things in since I'm only eating twice a day, so there's limited time in between. So what I've done is I've combined 2 scoops of electrolyte powder, 2 scoops of raw wheatgrass, and about 24 ounces of water in between lunch and dinner. Is that okay, or is that too much all at once?
No, it's totally okay. These things are very low calories. It's not going to interfere with your fast. You can combine them, take them together. Like I'll do the like this morning, I did the wheatgrass and the electrolytes, put it together, shook it up, boom, I'm good.
Good. Great. Okay, may I go on to 2?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I'm trying to get my husband to eat healthy. My husband is a tall, lean, does not have any problem losing weight, doesn't need this kind of a thing, and if anything, I would consider him a liver body type. He has no physical ailments whatsoever. Every time I try to get him to start eating healthy, because he can eat junk and get away with it, he gets chronic halitosis. If you give him a vitamin or supplements a couple days in a row, or raw vegetables or any fruit, he gets such bad chronic halitosis. We have no idea why this happens, but if I take him off of everything, he goes back to normal. Do you have any idea what this is about?
Well, I have a question. What, in a very quick way, tell me, what is he eating now on a regular basis?
Regularly?
Regular food?
Well, regular food that I give him, but then he eats candies and pies and bread. He eats lots of carbs.
Okay, so here's what's happening. And then you add this, the fibers and things like that. It's really a microbial problem. His system has adapted to running on certain types of fuel, and he doesn't have the microbes. And there's probably some excess fermentation and gas and things that are not being effectively handled with good digestion. I think the best thing to do with him is get some of my liquid probiotic and start taking that, because that's going to actually build up the flora that's going to give him the capacity to start breaking down these new foods, which you might have to do on a nice gradual shift over time, but it really has to do with his fermentation or his ability to digest and his microbes. Also, I would take some of these microbes, dilute it in water, and use it as a mouthwash through the day. I'm telling you, I've taken this stuff and I've dumped it into our sump pump, and it takes the odor out within hours, completely gone. It's a great deodorizer. It's also, you can use it on mold in your house. I mean, it's a pretty good cleaner, but it's really microbes. That's all he needs, and that's what I would recommend. Thanks, Leanne.
Now, I have a question to follow up on that.
Yeah.
So you're saying that because he's operating on this different kind of food, he has situations. So is this like when he starts eating the normal food, he just can't process it, or is he releasing now the toxicity and stuff? Like smokers, when they stop smoking, they say, "Oh, I stopped smoking, my gums are bleeding." But that was because the nicotine or the cigarettes were.
No, it's not a detox. It is basically when you actually eat everything that you eat, your microbes are adapting to. Like, it's developing new microbes and new enzymes to break food down. So it can be very, very wide as far as diverse. Your body adapts to whatever you're eating on with the microbes. So if you stop eating certain thing, it's like certain microbes go away. So it's a complete universe in your gut of all sorts of, could be like a movie. It's fascinating, actually.
Well, we're going to have to make that movie with our new green screen.
We'll work on that for sure. Let me just go to Jane, and then I'm going to give you another tip, Karen.
Okay.
Jane, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Go ahead. Go ahead. What's your question?
Okay, yeah. So I've been watching a lot of your videos. I absolutely love you. I've learned so much.
Oh, thanks.
So I know that you normally say that you have to get healthy first before you lose weight. So yes, I have a couple of complications. Like I have sleep apnea. I feel like I've been stressed out in the last 5 years, taking care of my family. I don't have any children, but I'm taking care of 3 nephews and my mom, and it's just a lot on me. And so my cortisol levels, I know they're high because ever since I turned 50, when I turned 50, I was fine, but 6 months later, I felt like I was gaining a pound every day, and I tried not to eat, and I felt like nothing was working. And then I went to the doctor, and I took a couple of tests, and he at first they thought I had Lyme disease, and so they gave me like antibiotics and like 2 rounds of oh my god, it's like some type of steroids. So now I'm just like trying to get my body back in health, and now certain medicines he put me on has my sugar level at 7.7, and now I'm trying to work it back down. So the only good thing I got back from the doctor is that I'm no longer experiencing high blood pressure, which is great. But now I have this situation where I have a 7.7 glucose issue, and now I have sleep apnea.
Right. Okay.
And it's hard for me to lose weight. So I just need to know, my question really was, what type of, I think I have the adrenal body type, because it's really like in the midsection.
Yeah. Okay, so here's what you do, Jane. You ready for this? Are you sitting down? It's very simple. Out of all these complexities and these things that you're focused on, you just need to focus in on one thing right now, and that's going to be lowering your insulin. What does that mean? Well, watch the video and find out. I show you how to do that. You need to implement the basics of what I talk about. I have a start here video, step 1, step 2. Watch those 2 videos. Implement that actually today. As far as your stress goes, it sounds like you're an adrenal body type, but I wouldn't focus on that yet. You need to get the basics in, and I have, this right here. You should get it, and then the other book. You can go to my website. But here's the thing, because very quickly I have all these calls, and vitamin B1, nutritional yeast, will instantly make you feel stress-free, and then of course the D3 with that will help the sleep, so then you can recharge. So D3 is like the icing on the cake, and then B1 will handle the stress. So we got stress and sleep together. Those 2, that's what I would focus on right now, and just get the basics. You're probably talking about your A1C, 7.7. All that means is your insulin is a little too high, and you need to do what I said, focus on dropping your blood sugars down. Okay? Thanks for calling.
So the rest of these are going to have to really be one question.
Yes.
Because we have questions here. We have summit questions, so we have to get to those.
I know.
On your market, set, go.
Okay. So real quick, I just wanted to mention one tip, and this is like, and I'm just going to, that's not really, yeah, it's a tip, but here's the problem. People are like commenting, my feet are shrinking on keto. Okay, and they're concerned because they have to buy new shoes, and it's expensive.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't worry about that, but I did go down a little in size.
Yeah, and the reason for that, guys, is that before your feet were swollen, you had edema, and that's because wherever the sugar goes, water goes. So if you have sugar in your body, you're going to retain fluid. And this is why a diabetic, when they pee out the excess sugar, guess what? They lose water, so they have to pee frequently, and they're thirsty frequently. That's one of the symptoms because of the sugar. So once you get rid of the sugar, what happens is you lose the fluid. Okay? Very good, eh?
Good.
That's a simple tip.
Good.
And that's all I'm going to say about it.
Okay, good. So I am going to spit out that the Keto Summit this year is in Maryland. You'll fly into Reagan Airport. It is at the Gaylord Hotel, and if you want to buy tickets, which you should, platinum level is over 50% sold out. A lot of VIP tickets happening. Go to drberg.com.
It's right at the top. Check it out. I have a lot of buttons.
Get all the details.
We're looking forward to meeting all of you guys.
Yeah.
And you actually watch us on YouTube and Facebook. but it would be great to actually meet you.
And you'll see in that link, you'll see all the guest speakers, because some people were having questions about the names of doctors and things like that. You'll see all the guest speakers, and we'll be adding the exhibitors as they sign up. So you can get all the data there.
Yeah, check it out.
Okay.
Let's go to Selena from Dallas, Texas. You had a question about polycystic liver disease.
Yeah. Good morning. How are you, Dr.
Good morning.
Berg?
I'm doing great.
Hello,
thank you.
Karen.
Hi.
I have been diagnosed with polycystic kidney and polycystic liver disease.
Okay.
And I've been watching several of your videos, and you talk about kidney disease, but it's not specific to polycystic kidney.
Yeah.
And the potassium intake on the keto diet, that's one that concerns me. So I wanted to know, is this safe for me?
Yeah, good question. Very good question.
The keto diet.
Yes. Okay, so here's the thing. The only time you wouldn't want to take potassium is when you are stage 4 or 5 kidney disease. It doesn't sound like you're in that boat. What you have to realize is potassium is protective to the kidney. It actually protects the kidney. What causes the cysts that you're in your livers and your liver and your kidney is your body's trying to obviously trying to protect you from toxins and things like that. There's a high level of risk of getting cysts and high levels of insulin. I would focus on reducing your insulin and then go back and get a recheck, because you should see an improvement. So keto is probably not just safe for polycystic conditions, but necessary, because it takes the stress off the kidney and the liver. What messes with your liver and the kidney is high levels of insulin from the high-carb diets. Thanks for your question. All right. Do we want to go through another question?
Yeah, I have 3 actually. Maybe you can answer them in one sentence.
Wow.
We'll try it. Okay.
Why don't I give you the answer first, and then you answer questions?
Hurrah. Okay. How do you get rid of quote unquote? All right. Old lady facial hair.
Okay.
One sentence.
You want to drop insulin, because that's raising your androgens. So insulin is keto.
Okay.
Right here.
Keto is the answer.
Healthy keto, intermittent fasting.
Okay, here's a little more complicated, so the challenge is on. Lori from Facebook, she's been on keto for 8 months, but her morning glucose continues to go up. It was 86, now it's 106, but in the afternoon it's normal. Is there anything to worry about?
It's called the dawn phenomena. And what that means is your cortisol spikes mostly at 8 o'clock in the morning, so you're releasing a little more sugar. The way to solve that is to give it more time and take apple cider vinegar in the later part of the day, or maybe even right before bed, and not just straight. Just do 1 tablespoon in a glass of water, drink that down, maybe an hour before you go to bed, so you can then urinate before you go to bed, and then that should improve the situation. But you're in the transitional phase, and your liver still needs some work. You may just need to stick it out longer, but it's not an issue. And in the morning, if you want to see a drop in that, just exercise in the morning, burn off that extra sugar. What?
Good.
You're laughing at me.
Well, that was about 5 sentences, 6, 7.
Oh, okay. Let me do it quicker.
Okay. And now here, this is going to be really quick. How would a 51-year-old woman start keto after hip surgery? And I would say that we could just do this. How would a 51-year-old woman start keto after fill in the blank?
Okay, next question. Yeah. Well, when you have hip surgery, a couple things that you need to be taking. In this situation, you need to be taking a good mineral builder, a bone builder, not just calcium, and then vitamin D for sure. That's going to be a necessity. Make sure you have the vitamin D with food in the morning. And then the other thing is boron. That's a really good thing. Because I would just take all the trace minerals together, because you want to start repairing that. But if you take enough vitamin D, it decreases the risk of getting fractures, and it helps healing of the bone. But you need the K2, Karen, to make the bones really solid.
That's right.
So don't forget the K2. I did a video on this, on osteopenia and osteoporosis, what to do. That's what I would watch.
There you go.
Okay. All right, Lisa, you're from Riverside, California. You had a question. You're missing
Yes.
Oregon.
Yes, hi.
Hi.
When I eat greens or veggies of any type, I get diarrhea. And I know that that's probably, well, actually the doctor said it's because I don't have a gallbladder and it's leaking into my small intestine. And so I was prescribed a medication that causes me to get really bad hives. The medication helped the diarrhea, but I couldn't tolerate the hives. Any suggestions?
Yeah. I think what I would do is I would support the missing gallbladder by taking maybe some purified bile salts or even the gallbladder formula right now. I would take that and I would cut out the greens for about a month to 6 weeks. But do keto with everything else, but just not the greens, because we can't have you having diarrhea because you're going to lose your electrolytes, you're going to have all sorts of issues. On a rare occasion, when people have their gallbladder out, they produce too much bile, and that's what creates the laxative effect. If that's your case, then you don't want to take any bile salts because bile salts create a laxative effect. So that's the only catch-22 that you need to kind of evaluate. But yeah, and then the other thing is as you put the greens back in, I would try vegetables that you haven't tried before, like maybe a little zucchini or something. Well, maybe you've tried that, but try some other vegetables that are different and see if you have a problem with that, but down the road. Okay? Thanks for your call.
So if she has too much bile and she tries the bile salts,
it's going to make it worse.
She'll obviously have more diarrhea. So you stop that immediately, and then nothing else to remedy other than staying away from the greens.
Well, here's the thing that without a gallbladder, you usually don't produce enough bile, and she's getting diarrhea from the greens. So it tells me I think there's the fiber issue there.
Okay.
It's not the bile salts, but the fact that she doesn't have the gallbladder tells me that she probably is going to benefit from some bile salts. But I would do one thing at a time because I think there's two separate problems. All right, we're going to go to Nico from Fort Myers, Florida. Are you there?
Yes. Hi, Dr. Berg.
Hello.
Hi, I had a question. I was on keto. I've been on keto now for about a month and a half, and I've always had high triglycerides and low HDL. Well, I've lost a lot of weight, and my triglycerides went down a lot. But my one concern and question is that my HDL actually went below 40. It was 32, and it was never like that. It was always like 41 or whatever. So I wanted to know, how do I raise my HDL?
Okay, so you can actually, believe it or not, egg yolks will raise it. HDL is not even cholesterol. It's a transport cargo ship that's actually taking the cholesterol from the cells and bringing it back to the liver, which means that you might not be needing as much transport back to the liver for recycling because your cells are using it up as energy and other things, repair. So I think I probably wouldn't worry too much about that, but I would definitely start taking some eggs. Speaking about eggs, we did the duck eggs, and you didn't even know they were duck eggs. You were like, what are these, jumbo?
Oh, that was an ostrich egg. It was the biggest egg. I mean, they were really good, but it just looked like regular eggs. I thought, oh, these are a little on the large side. But the yolk was...
We had like 5 dozen at the farmer's market. They have the best eggs, and the duck eggs are like huge. So I'll do 4 of those things. That's a lot of egg yolks.
Yeah.
But they're good. I like them.
Yeah, okay, good. Hey, question here. I can't read the name because it's written in another language. But his son craves soap. He has a desire to eat soap. And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, these cravings for strange things, and you did a video.
Right.
Oh, I have the echo effect.
Yeah, I think that it's a very cleansing thing to crave it. Now, I think that that's kind of a soap as a detergent. I think he needs bile salts, it's like a detergent as well. That's what I think that's going on. I would give him some purified bile salts, but man, just for someone that craves soap, of all things, it's just such a repelling thing. Like when your parents put mouth on your soap. Okay, Steve, that was totally unnecessary. Okay, we're inappropriate.
He cannot be controlled.
We need to take the video camera and the sound thing away from him.
It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
We have to tie his fingers together so he can't press the buttons.
Well, let's go do that right now. All right. On that note,
Hey,
guys,
wait.
have a
The one effect we do need, the echo. Ready?
What?
Are you going to do it, Steve?
the echo.
Attend the Keto Summit. Well, that wasn't as good as I
Guys,
thought
have
it
a
was
great
gonna be.
weekend. We will see you next week.
Okay.
Thank you for your call.
See ya.
Your calls.